Are we ready to do this? Are we ready to go live on Free Advice Friday for the first time in, I don't know, like a month? It's been a minute since we got to do Free Advice Friday, but looking forward to being back with you guys and looking forward to answering all of your voiceover business and marketing questions as always. And of course, Uncle Roy's got to be the first one to join the live stream and first one to drop a comment. So look, I know that many of you are coming to see the Jelly Bean. I know that was promised, and she will be here. I can't tell you exactly when. I will hopefully sooner than later, but Mummy is getting the boo put down for her nap, and so then as soon as that is done, then the Bean can come and make her grand appearance on Free Advice Friday. So in the meantime, you know, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about because it's been a while since we actually got to be here and do this. And I'm looking forward to spending some time with you guys. So here's one thing I want to share with you. And by the way, if you have a voiceover question that you would like to ask and get answered, voiceover business and marketing question, just type it into the comments, put a Q beside it. I will be keeping an eye for those to pop up on my screen. But there's one thing I wanted to talk to you about but before we get into the questions. This is something new that I've been learning. So in the past week, I did my email workshop, my introductory email workshop. I do that a couple of times throughout the year, working with a small group of voice actors, helping them to write better, more effective introductory marketing emails. And if you ever have a chance to take that workshop, by the way, I think you should do it. It's fantastic. But anyway, as I've taught that workshop over the years, and I've taught it many times now, one of the things that I have always taught is when you are putting your email together, and you're going to put your website into your email. So you're going to invite somebody to go to your website and listen to your demos, for example. I have always taught and practiced that when you are putting your website into your email, I would say, give my demos a listen at marcscottvoiceover.com. And I would type out marcscottvoiceover.com on the screen or type it out in the email. And that way people could see what the URL is when they went to click the link. And that has always been considered best practice because an embedded link, which would be if I were to say, give my voiceover demos a listen by clicking here. And so you can't actually see the URL, you just see the text clicking here. That's an embedded link. So the belief for years has been that those embedded links are much more likely to trigger spam filters because of potential phishing schemes. And so it's better to type out the full URL. Give my demos a listen at marcscottvoiceover.com. The thinking is changing on that. And part of the reason why the thinking is changing on that is because people are starting to use filters for URLs. So email filters for URLs. So what that means is they can set up a filter. If an email comes into their email address and it has a www in it, or if it has a .com in it, or an HTTPS, for example, common things that you'll see in URLs, then there's the possibility that the email filter will catch that and automatically send the message to spam. And so because people are starting to do this now, you might find that some of your messages aren't getting delivered. And so it makes a use case for actually going and doing the embedded link. So what I taught in the workshop and what I'm going to encourage you with now is split test this. Let's say that you're going to send out 100 emails this week. Do 50 of them where it says, give my demos a listen at marcscottvoiceover.com. Do 50 of them where it says, give my demos a listen by clicking here. So half of them with the URL, half of them with the embedded link, and then pay attention to the data. Do you see more click-throughs with one than the other, or more bounce backs with one than the other? It's a really easy way to pay attention to what is going on and figure out if one strategy actually works better than another strategy. So just something that I wanted to talk about because it's something I've been learning about. I actually read an article on it last week. I read an article on it, I think the day before I taught my first of my 2 workshops. And so I actually changed the content of the workshop to reflect that change that's going on. So pay attention to that because it might be something that impacts your deliverability. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to have, large scale impact on your deliverability, but if you have an email that does bounce back, it might be worth testing that one. Try sending that email again, only instead of putting in the URL, put in the clicking here, the embedded link, and see whether or not that works. All right, so Again, thank you guys for joining. I know it's been a while. It's been pretty crazy around here. As some of you, I'm sure, are aware at this point, April 15th, we ended up with a new baby. She came a little bit early, about 10 days early. So that was fun, incredibly stressful. It resulted in a week-long stay in the hospital, but everybody's doing okay now, which is really good. But I gave myself a little bit of time off I called it, dad leave. Perks of being the boss. You can give yourself a little bit of flexibility in your schedule. Then I was sick for a week and a half, still on the tail end of that. And so the end result was that I haven't been able to do Free Advice Friday for like a month now. But very excited to be back with you guys. And the special guest that was going to make an appearance is now here. She has been brought down. Hey, baby. So here is my little jelly bean. Just a tiny little thing. Although keep in mind, when she was born, 5 pounds, 1 ounce, she literally fit in the palm of daddy's hand. Oh, are you going to open your eyes and look at everybody? Are you going to say hi? Or you're just like, no, give me back to mommy. I don't want to do this. Yeah, she was 5 pounds, 1 ounce at birth. She was up to 6'10", 6'12", 6'10", 6'10". On her last checkup that she had this week. So she's gaining weight and doing really well, and we're super excited about that. She's very healthy. She's a good sleeper. She's a good eater. She's a champion pooper. She's got it all going on right now, and of course, she's incredibly cute. Hey, baby, are you very cute? You gonna say hi to everybody? You're like, no, I'm just gonna sleep. I'm just gonna sleep. You want to say anything into the microphone? Hey? No? Nothing to say? Do you have any advice? Hey, you want to give anybody any advice? No? Oh, big yawns. Oh, the jelly bean says, my advice is take a nap. Oh, she's opening her eyes. Hey, did daddy wake you up? I'm sorry, baby. Ooh. So anyway, I know that this is the reason why many of you came here today. It has nothing to do with me and the free advice from which I will dispense. You just came to see the baby. So this is Kinsley Jade. She's doing good. She's making her national TV appearance. Is that what this is? What is this? This is like international. This is global TV appearance. This is like bigger than a national commercial. So soon she'll have an agent. She'll be giving me contracts, and she'll be expecting payment to make appearances on Free Advice Friday. We'll have to discuss usage. Oh, that's a big yawn. That's a big yawn. So anyway, there you go. For those of you that came to see Kinsley, oh, she's being blocked by the microphone. Let's go like this. Say hi. Say hi. Oh, big yawns. Big yawns and big stretches. Oh. I feel bad for the people who show up late and came to see this, but then they're gonna miss out. So they'll have to watch the replay. Anyway, all right, we'll let Kinsley go back to mommy because I think she's probably getting ready to have a little snack and then take a little nap just like her sister. So wave bye to everybody. Say bye. Bye. All right, baby. Mwah. All right, there you go. If you made it on time and you clicked through on the email, that's what you get. You get to see the jelly bean live on Free Advice Friday. So good for you for being here on time and getting to see that and that's like literally, that's like her first real public appearance. So you were a part of it. You got to be a part of it. All right, guys, should we carry on with Free Advice Friday? Are we ready to ask some questions and get some answers? Let's do it. So here's the first question, comes from Tim Stevenson. A friend wants to get into providing audio textbooks/training for poor readers. Who would you say to send him to for coaching? Okay, so audio textbooks, that's interesting. I'm thinking, the first two names that came to my mind immediately were Inganguza, just because she does a lot of educational e-learning, medical e-learning, different things like that. And so long form, because I think long form is obviously a part of that. Anne's a fantastic coach. So that's one name that comes to mind off the top of my head. And then I'm thinking Sean Pratt maybe is the other name that comes to mind because he does the audiobook side of things specifically. And so I think either of those two people potentially would be a good coach for something like that. But hey, Uncle Roy is here on the live stream, and Uncle Roy is a very talented coach as well. In fact, he was my first coach. And so he's somebody that you could potentially go and have a conversation with as well. All right, so let's see. Dion, Sabrina, Annie, Daniel, Joan, welcome. Briscoe, Terry's here. Terry talked smack about Dr. Pepper a few weeks ago, so Terry and I aren't friends anymore, but that's okay. I still let him come on the live stream. If you talk smack about Dr. Pepper, you immediately go onto my hit list. You're no longer eligible for the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas contest or any fun thing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Although he is on my hit list. Next time I see him in public, I'm probably going to flick his ear or something like that, just to get even. All right. Mike says, hey, Mark, congrats on your new little one here from Brantford. Oh, local guy. What would be an effective lead magnet to use when marketing, trying to get leads for VO? Okay, this is a good question, actually, and I've played around with this a little bit. Guys, you'll have to excuse me. I'm still getting over the cold, so every once in a while I might have to mute out and cough. But what's a good lead magnet? Think about the most common questions that your voiceover leads, prospects, and clients are asking you. So some of the most common questions that get asked are about rates, about turnaround times, about usage, about how does a directed session work, things like that. So could you create a lead magnet? And I think there's a couple of different ways that you could go with this. Could you create one that was like the top 10 questions or the top 5 questions that a voice buyer has for a voice talent? And you could provide the answers to those questions. Or each one of those could branch out into their own lead magnet. And so you could offer, 5 best practices for directing talent in a directed session, or 5 things you need to understand about how voiceover rates are determined, or 5 things that will help you determine the usage of your project to get an accurate quote, or something like that. So I think there's probably a few different options in there that could potentially turn into a really good lead magnet. And so the question is just, what are the questions? And guys, just to clarify, for those of you that are like, what do you mean? What is a lead magnet? I don't understand what a lead magnet is. A really good example of what a lead magnet is would be something like this. Hang on a second. Let me just bring it up. I'm going to click over here. Oops, hang on. Please stand by. Please stand by. Okay, so if you go to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com right now, Voiceover Marketing Playbook is not currently available. But if you enter your name and your email address, you will receive a free PDF that has 6 simple marketing tips. And so that is what we call a lead magnet. You provide your email address in exchange for something of value. So it could be that you provide it in exchange for access to a video, access to a PDF download, access to a template, access to a class, access to a webinar, whatever. So those are what we call lead magnets in fancy marketing speak. And so I actually use lead magnets in a bunch of different ways. If you go to VOpreneur.com to the main page, you can see here, free download, the VOpreneur Guide to Testimonials. That is a lead magnet. So if you click that, type in your name, type in your email address. By the way, you should do this, VOpreneur.com/testimonials. I'm going to send you a free guide on how to collect testimonials and use testimonials for your marketing efforts. So that is what a lead magnet is. And so the question Mike is asking is, how do I create one of those on the voiceover side? And so it's a way of building an automated funnel where somebody signs up, they get their download or their video or whatever, and then they're going to your database. You might send out a series of emails, and it's a way to turn a cold lead, hopefully, into a warm lead. And ultimately, the goal is obviously to turn them into a client. Great question, Mike. Hopefully that answers it for you. Tanya says, welcome back, Mark. Great to be here with you and see your sweet little baby jelly bean. Yes, we're very, very glad that we were able to bring her on. Guys, this is something that I haven't really talked about a lot, but not publicly anyway, but the day after we got her home from the hospital and we had her first checkup with the midwife told us that if we had been another 24 hours, and she was born by emergency C-section, it was crazy, lights and sirens, trip to the hospital and everything. But the midwife had told us if we had waited another 24 hours, if we hadn't had that ultrasound that morning, we probably would not have her. And so that's a lot to hear and a lot to process. And so we are very, very blessed and very grateful that she is here and that she is doing so well. And she seems to be thriving, and her checkups have all been good. And yeah, we're blessed. Give that man strength with 4 girls. It's true. It's true. I do have 4 daughters. And then my mother-in-law lived with us for a month. So think about that. I've got 4 daughters, plus my wife was in the house, plus my mother-in-law was in the house. I was so massively outnumbered for the last month. It was absolutely insanity. But you know what? Being a girl dad is pretty cool. The voice of Ryan. Fat fingers hit send. Oops, VO leads getting out there now. Any experience with it? The cost seems to be comparable to hiring an outsourcer via a freelancer. Okay, Ryan, I feel like I missed the first part of that question. So let me just quickly scroll back and see what is the first part of that question. Do I see it? Do I see it? I do not see it. Okay, Ryan, I apologize. I think maybe I missed the first part of that question. Could you maybe just type that one into the comments again? And I will do my best to address that. Sabrina says, paid LinkedIn ads. What do you consider good, healthy metrics and worthy of running again? I'm currently running my first paid ad, a video demo. I mean, I think honestly, if I got any inquiries at all, I considered it a win, just because of the fact that it's relatively affordable. It's completely passive. It runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for as long as you choose to run your campaign. So generally speaking, when I've done LinkedIn ads in the past, I've run them for a month. So it basically cost me $300 to run an ad for a month. And if I even generated one inquiry as a result of that ad, then I felt like it was worth it because it was a lead that I didn't have to put in active time to get. I didn't have to actively search for them. I didn't have to actively reach out, go to their website, whatever. But generally with all the LinkedIn ads that I have done, I've always gotten at least a few inquiries out of it. And I've always gotten a number of connection requests as well. And so those connection requests are good as well. That's a prospect now. They're sending you that connection request for a reason. So those are some of the things that I would be looking at, depending on what you built your ad for. If you built it for to click through to the website, are you getting website click-throughs? If you built it for leads, are you getting leads? But I would definitely pay attention to some of those things. But I would also say that you can't judge the success of an advertising platform off of one ad. What I mean by that is I have run LinkedIn ads in the past that have done incredibly well for me. I had one that I added like 50 some odd new people to my network in the span of a week and a half, and it was incredible. But I've also done a couple of LinkedIn ads where they were complete stinkers, just did not produce any results whatsoever. And generally speaking, that has more to do with the ad than it does with the platform. So was my ad copy written well? Did it address a specific pain point or provide a specific solution? Was it targeted to the right audience? Was it targeted to a specific enough audience? These are all things that you've got to take into consideration when you're trying to build an ad out. There's a lot of factors that go into it. But I would definitely say don't just give up after one ad. Always be looking for what can I do better on the next time around. I'm also a big fan of split testing ads. So when I start a new campaign, I might start out with 2 or 3 ads at the same time and let them run for 3 or 4 days. And then if I can see that one ad is performing a lot better than another, I will turn off the others and then everything goes to that one ad. But if you're going to split test, you've got to have a really good reason for split testing. So an example might be in your copy. One of your ads might speak specifically to pain points that voiceover buyers experience. And it comes from a more, I don't want to say negative space because that doesn't sound right, but you're really speaking directly to pain points. But another ad might speak just specifically to solutions. And so you could test that theory and see what resonates more with people. Is it when I talk about their specific pain points and problems, or is it when I just hit them up with a solution? And so that would be a really great way to split test ads. But I am a big fan of running ads on LinkedIn, and I have definitely, as I said, had success with that in the past. Briscoe, you know what? Even though you talk smack about Dr. Pepper, my friend, I'm still going to answer your question because that's the kind of guy I am. I'm just a good guy. Do you separate your business expenses, meaning coaching versus earnings for VO work? Everything for me falls under one blanket because of how my business is set up here in Canada, and I run under a sole proprietor. So I can go back through my income and I can see what is specifically VO, what is specifically coaching. What course did this, what course did that, what genre of voiceover earned me this, what genre of voiceover earned me that. So I can break down all of that stuff, but it does all ultimately fall under one blanket, specifically with expenses, because it's all registered under one business name. So how that would work would potentially depend on if you are running it under one business, one umbrella, or if you were running it under two different sole proprietorships, two different registered businesses, then you would certainly want to keep your expenses separate in that case. All right. What else, guys? This is your opportunity to ask questions and get answers. That is what I am here for, and looking forward to spending some time with you and answering as many of your questions as I can. I want to tell you about a brand new class. I am in the process of building it right now, and I'm getting really excited about it, but I've already got it up online. In fact, I just put it online about half an hour ago. It is called Content Compass, your guide to creating consistent content for social media. If you are struggling with social media for any number of different reasons, I don't know what to post, I have no ideas, my life is not that interesting, nobody cares, I don't know how to use social media, I don't know how to do content creation, etc., etc., etc. If you've ever said any of those things, then this course is for you. This is going to be one of my low cost, high value classes. I've been doing a few of these over the last several months. I recognize that times are tough for some folks right now, that money can be tight, interest rates are high, inflation is high. It cost me $72 to buy the ingredients to make a cheesecake for Mother's Day. Yes, that's right, $72 to buy the ingredients to make one cheesecake for Mother's Day. I get it. Inflation is crazy. So what I wanted to do, one of the things that I've been doing is trying to put together some really low ticket, high value classes that I believe if you implement, you can get an amazing return on investment on it. So that's what Content Compass is going to be. It's a 1 hour class. There's going to be 2 opportunities for it. June 4th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So that's the daytime class, and June 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So it's a daytime class on a Tuesday, evening class on a Thursday, 1 hour class live via Zoom. If you can't attend live, sign up anyway. Everybody is going to get access to a video recording of it. If you go to VOpreneur.com and click on the store button up there, VOpreneur.com, click on the store button, you'll see it right here, Content Compass. There's the June 4th and the June 6th. Really what I'm going to focus on here is giving you a strategy for building an idea factory, so that you never have to run out of ideas, that you never have to stress over what should I post or what can I post. We're going to focus on a strategy for how you can plan ahead and start doing some of this stuff in bulk. Not everybody wants to sit down and post on social media every day, but you can actually plan some of this out ahead of time. And then we're also going to talk about a strategy for building a very targeted social media campaign towards a very specific audience for a very specific objective. And we're going to do all this in an hour. So it's going to be a really great class, $47, like I said, low ticket, but high value. If you have ever struggled with social media and what to post, this is the class that you are looking for. So head over to VOpreneur.com. Let's just walk through it here. If you go to VOpreneur.com, click on the store button. There it is right there, the June 4th at 1 o'clock and the June 6th at 7 o'clock. Get signed up for that, and I would love to have the opportunity to work with you on your social media strategy. All right. Let's see. What else is going on here? What are ideas for adding value in prospect client email check-ins? What matters to them? So I think there's a few different strategies that you can take here, but I am always thinking about, does this actually matter? So one of my easiest ones is I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I really enjoy marketing podcasts, sales podcasts, social media podcasts, things of that nature. If I listen to a podcast episode, and it makes me think about one of my clients or a segment of my clients, that might be something that I would send in an email. So, maybe it's got like, five tips for video marketing in 2024, something like that. That would be one that I might go into my Nimble and select a group of my video producers who are my clients and prospects, and I'd fire them off a quick email and say, hey, I was listening to this podcast today and it made me think of you. I think you might be able to draw some value from some of these tips and maybe incorporate it into what you're doing at X company. Boom, send it off. And so I'm not trying to sell them voiceover services. I'm just trying to add value to them. On the flip side of that, we're coming up to summer, right? This weekend is the long holiday weekend in Canada. This is like our official kickoff to summer. I know for the United States, it's next weekend. Have you got vacation time coming up? And this is an example. I sent out a newsletter yesterday where I shared some tips on this, but letting your clients know ahead of time that you're going to be away and letting them know that you're going to do everything possible to get their project done before you go, that's a way of adding value. Targeting your messages specifically is also a really good strategy. So if you're going to send out a brand new e-learning demo that you just did, make sure that you're only sending that to your e-learning clients. That's something that they care about because they're using you for e-learning services. But your commercial clients, they probably don't care about your new e-learning demo. So there's no reason to send that. So I'm just always looking for things that I can get into their inbox that they might find helpful, that they might find useful, that's going to solve a problem for them. And so those are some of the things that I am thinking about. All right, Jacob says, I already have a LinkedIn profile for my non-VO military cybersecurity career. Do I just update that existing profile for VO, or do you recommend creating a new specific VO profile? Good question, Jacob. It's actually in the LinkedIn terms of service that you can only have one profile. So if you set up two separate profiles, there is a distinct possibility that they might shut you down anyway. So my opinion has always been that it is best to have one profile that very clearly outlines everything that you do. And I would say that your career in military and your career in cybersecurity actually has value to voiceover. Excuse me. I do a ton of e-learning in the cybersecurity space. So if I was looking for a voice actor to do e-learning and I happen to see that voice actor also has expertise in cybersecurity, I mean, that just put you to the front of the pack as far as I'm concerned. So I think when we incorporate everything that we have in one profile, everything that we've done, all of our experience, our training, our expertise, et cetera, I think that can actually be a value add. And I think it can also be a value proposition from a marketing standpoint. So I would say put it all together into one profile. If you are still active in military cybersecurity, what you could do is in the About section, write a blurb about your voiceover, then just put a dashed line, and then write a blurb about your military and cybersecurity. And then in the experience section, make sure that under voiceover that you really highlight all the different aspects of your voiceover business. And that's a pretty easy way to incorporate everything into one profile. So I would definitely put it all together on one. Hope that answers your question, Jacob. Briscoe says, I love the documentary vids that you created. It's a genre I'm interested in. Can you take us through the process that you used? No, because you talk smack about Dr. Pepper. I can't take you through that. The process that I used was very simple. I actually used AI to write the scripts for me, and then I made the videos. I put the videos together in Adobe Premiere using stock video footage that I found from a couple of different sites, Canva, Pixabay, a couple other places, just free video footage, and just edited them together. And it's actually a pretty simple, pretty easy process to put together. And that is one of the targeted social media strategies that I'm using. All right, let's see. What else is going on? Again, if you are new to Free Advice Friday, if you're just jumping on the live stream and you're not sure what's going on, this is an opportunity for you to ask voiceover business and marketing questions, and I am happy to answer as many of those voiceover business and marketing questions as I can. All I would ask is when you're typing it in the comments, if you could just put a Q beside it, it just pops out a little bit easier for me in the chat, makes it a little bit easier for me to pick up on. I wanted to go back to the voice of Ryan. I know you asked a question earlier about VO leads. I just wasn't 100% sure about that question. Now that I'm reading it again, I'm realizing, oh, you're talking about the service VO leads. There's a new website that's out there called VO Leads. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about anyway. I have not had any experience with that service. You mentioned that the cost seems to be comparable to working with a freelance site or outsourcing. I can't speak to the cost of it either because I'm not familiar with it. So I don't really want to say too much about it. What I would say that I enjoy about working with a freelancer is, one, is my ability to be specific and targeted. So I can send an email to my freelancer this afternoon and say, hey, I want to focus on this. I want to focus on this genre, or I want to focus specifically in on this job title, or I want to really dial in on this sector or this niche right now. And so there's a level of flexibility in there. I'm not going to say you can't get that with VO Leads. Again, I'm not familiar with the service, so I don't know. But for a lot of people who are using freelancers, the other advantage is that some of them are using their freelancers to drop those leads right straight into their CRM as well. And so removing another step with work that you have to do. And so I'm always all about that too. So I think there's a use case to be made for either, depending on what your workflow is and how you like to work. Man, for me, part of it is just I just enjoy working with other people because it's lonely down here in the basement sometimes. And so it's nice to be able to have a conversation with a real human being and working on a project. All right, Sabrina says, going back to LinkedIn ads, what ad copy have you found to be the most successful? Do you always promote a video demo? Generally speaking, yes, I do use a video demo. So that is something that I have found to be effective. Not a super fancy video version of my demo, just a basic video version of my demo that I created at the time using Final Cut Pro. I'm an Adobe Premiere user now mostly, but relatively easy to create. You can also create a very simple video using a tool like headliner.app. You can also create basic videos in Canva, and I have used Canva. I've actually done one LinkedIn ad with a video that I created out of Canva. The biggest thing I find is that the copy has to speak specifically to the audience. So if you're going to write a LinkedIn ad that says, I'm a professional voice actor with a home studio, looking for an opportunity to bring your script to life, or whatever the generic things are that we say, that's not going to work. But if you write copy that speaks specifically to your e-learning services and the e-learning work that you do, and you target that specifically to instructional designers and e-learning developers, then you're going to have higher conversion on your ads. And so sometimes I think there's a misconception that we want a big audience. If I'm going to run an ad, I want to run it to tens of thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people. And I think actually the opposite is true. I think the more targeted your audience is, the more likely you are to get a better conversion rate. And so I have run LinkedIn ads with very specific ad copy targeted to very specific segments, specific job titles, specific genres, etc., where my audience might only be a few thousand people, but that's all I need. I just need a few thousand people who are in that space and who that ad will speak to, and then it resonates. What is the most cost-effective way to update my website? I need to outsource this task because I don't have time to spend hours figuring out WordPress. Amen to that. I think that's something that we often underestimate. Yes, I can go on YouTube this afternoon and I could watch countless hours. I could spend the entire weekend watching videos on how to use WordPress and update a WordPress site. And then at the end of the day, I can update my WordPress site and say, that's great, I just did that for free. Except that you didn't do it for free because you just spent an entire weekend watching YouTube videos and your time has value. And so you have to factor that cost in. So I appreciate the fact that you recognize that, Dion. Thank you. And there's a few different places that I would say that you could reach out to. Voiceactorwebsites.com is one of the most popular website builders. They are a company that's who built my website, marcscottvoiceover.com. So I just put the link in the chat for them. Another one that I have recommended to voice actors in the past, I'm just pulling up the website now. Just want to make sure I get the right URL. Please stand by. Center Stage Design. Nadine Charlson is the individual behind Center Stage Design. I've had Nadine on Free Advice Friday before. You can actually look back through the YouTube channel and you can find the interview that I did with Nadine on Free Advice Friday, where we talked all about websites and design and all of that sort of stuff. She's also a voice actor and an actor, so she gets it. She gets what we're doing, which is really helpful. You know what? Now that I said that, let me just see. There it is, Center Stage Design. That was January of 2023. Hold on. I'm going to post this link in the chat for you.
Showing up on the first page of Google?
There we go. I'm going to put this link in the chat. If anybody wants to go back and watch that one. But Dion, that would be a couple of different places that would be worth checking out. Voice actor websites and Center Stage Design. I think either one of those would do really great work for you. Hopefully that's helpful. Annie says, gosh, the barbecue is coming up soon already. Is the date set, Roy? Yes, the date is set. What is the date? I have it in my calendar. Hang on. Let me see if I can pass this test. I know I put it in my calendar. September 27, 28, 29 is what I had in my calendar. Did I get it right? September 27, 28, 29? That is the barbecue. To be determined whether or not I will be able to attend this year or not. Hopefully. Hopefully this will finally be the year. It's been a long road since Brisket 2020 got canceled due to a global pandemic. And then for the subsequent 2 years, I was still unable to travel to the United States for thanks to Canada's crazy, insane COVID restrictions and lockdowns and travel and blah, blah, blah and whatever. But, he says, it's private invite only now. That's because it's gotten too big. So you'll have to reach out to Uncle Roy. PM me for the link. There you go. He says PM me for the link. Send a message to Uncle Roy and get access to the barbecue. All right. What else can I answer for you guys? Do you have any other questions that you would like to ask? Is there anything else that I can chat with you about? I know there was no podcast on Thursday. There was a problem with the audio. I sent out an email about it, but I literally recorded an entire episode on email subject lines and then realized that in a state of cold medicated stupor, I selected the wrong microphone before I recorded, and my audio was completely, totally useless. So there was no episode of the podcast this past week. I apologize for that. I will do better next time. But last week's episode was a really good one. 5 big changes that have happened on LinkedIn. There's some things that you need to know about. LinkedIn has been making a ton of changes in 2024. And some of those changes are absolutely going to impact the way that you use LinkedIn. And so if you have not had a chance to go back and listen to that episode yet, I would strongly encourage you to do it. I'm going to throw a link in the chat here for that one. You can watch it right here on the YouTube channel, or of course you can download it wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. Briscoe says, any insights about the upcoming SC4? I'm assuming you're talking about Source Connect. I don't know anything about Source Connect. All I know about Source Connect is that I pay for it every month. I've been paying for it every month for 4 years now, and I think I've used it 3 times. That's what I know about Source Connect. All my agents want it, but none of my clients do. And the irony of it is that even with the few jobs that I've booked with my agents, they've not actually ended up being Source Connect jobs. So I'm like, why do I continue to pay for this? With the exchange, it gets really expensive. Anyway. All right, let's see. What else is going on here? What else? Oh, Uncle Roy says he's got to cap the barbecue at 200. Too many people show up. The mayor is going to come and shut him down. I don't actually know that to be true, but I'm just saying things. All right. So what else, guys? What else can I answer for you for Free Advice Friday? What can I help you with? What pressing voiceover business and marketing questions do you have? If there's anything that you would like to speak about, anything that you would like to get some insight on, send me a message. Type it in the comments. Put a Q beside it. Briscoe says, I actually use Source Connect pretty frequently. I think it depends a lot on the type of work that you do. Because the vast majority of my work tends to be in the non-broadcast side, I do a lot of corporates. I do a lot of explainer. I do a lot of e-learnings and things like that. And so it's not something that they typically want directed sessions for. But the irony of it is that on the rare occasion that they do want directed sessions, more and more, believe it or not, I'm actually getting directed session requests for Google Meets as opposed to even Zoom. Zoom used to be one that I did a lot, but yeah, everybody wants Google Meets now. I think if you're working more in the commercial space, I think Source Connect is much more common. Or if you're booking consistently with your agents, I think Source Connect is much more common. I think if you are booking, other broadcast type work, promos and things like that, or bigger projects like gaming and animation projects, certainly Source Connect makes a difference. Vanessa says, I bought Source Connect outright, so I just have it if I ever needed it. Yeah, I did the subscription thing because I know if you buy it outright, you only get a certain number of updates. And so I was like, well, I always want to make sure that I got access to the latest updates. The problem is when you're in Canada and the exchange rate is constantly fluctuating and the Canadian dollar is completely and utterly worthless, it gets really expensive putting that out every month. But I've got it. I've got it just in case somebody wants to use it one of these days. Par 513. What genres do you feel Source Connect is required for? Oh, okay. Well, perfect. I just answered that question talking about that. I'm not going to say that that's gospel. I'm just going to say that I think that it probably does tend to lean more towards the broadcast-oriented types of stuff. My e-learning clients, like, come on, if I got a 5,000 or a 10,000 word e-learning script, nobody wants to sit on a directed session and do that. With most of my explainer clients, a lot of them are like, they don't need it. It's not worth it. For a 90-second explainer, I can literally just go in the studio, record it in 90 seconds and be done. Occasionally with an explainer, certain clients will ask for the directed session. But again, a lot of them just seem to want to do Google Meets because a lot of times on the clients, when you're working like that, these clients are not production studios or recording studios. They don't know what Source Connect is. And so they know what Google Meet is, or they know what Zoom is. And so that's what they're using. I've done a couple of directed sessions with clients from Europe, and we didn't even use Source Connect. I'm totally drawing a brain fart now on what we used. It wasn't IPDTL. It wasn't Source Connect. I don't remember. But anyway, I think it just depends. It just depends a lot on the clients and the type of work that you're doing. But I mean, when your agents are asking you to have it, you didn't hear this from me, but one of the things that I've suggested in the past is sign up for Source Connect, get it on your computer, work with somebody who knows Source Connect. Uncle Roy, Mike McGonigal, I believe, is really good with Source Connect. Make sure that it is set up, that you've got your ports mapped, that you know how to use it, that you understand how it works properly. And then if you want to turn off the membership, then turn off the membership, and then you can just reactivate it for a month when the time comes that you actually need it, as opposed to just continuing to pay for it. And that's for somebody who's maybe not using it all the time, or for a new voice actor who doesn't have that continued ongoing need for it. Obviously, I know a lot of voice actors who are using it all the time, and it makes sense for them to have that subscription. But if you're new to an agent and they say that they want you to have it, I think as long as you've got it on your computer and you know how to use it, if you don't have an active subscription continuously, but you can get it activated and up and running in a hurry if you need to. I mean, you didn't hear it from me, but it's something that you might want to take into consideration. Tanya Grant says, agreed regarding Source Connect source elements. I've learned it. I have it. My agent requires it, yet I've not needed it for sessions. And that's the way the cookie crumbles, as they say. I know that's been my experience too. Mike says, do you know of any free low-cost CRMs that are suited well to VO? The only free CRM that I know of off the top of my head is HubSpot. Here's my warning against a free CRM. CRMs are a nightmare to set up initially, particularly if you have a larger database already. And so if you sign up for a free CRM, let's just say HubSpot. And just to be clear, this is not a statement about HubSpot. This is a general statement about CRM and how it works. You sign up for HubSpot for the free CRM and you use it for a year and you got 1,000 contacts in it by the end of the year. But then you realize that you want to have a few more bells and whistles in your CRM. And so in order to get a few more bells and whistles in your CRM, you want to upgrade. HubSpot is an enterprise grade CRM, and it's going to cost you potentially hundreds of dollars a month or more to upgrade. So you don't want to do that. So you go out and you look for a lower cost CRM. Nimble, I think it works out to about $25 or $30 a month. Now you have to go through the nightmare of moving your database from one CRM to another. Now, there are options for exporting CSV files. There are options for importing CSV files and mapping fields. I don't want to get too technical. But at the end of the day, here's what you need to understand. 9 times out of 10, the process of moving from one CRM to another CRM is one of the worst, most hellish, is that a word? Hellish experiences you will ever have in your entire life, and you don't want to do it. So that's why I often encourage voice actors to think ahead a little bit. There are some good CRMs that are out there that are going to run you that $20 to $30 a month, which is not crazy expensive. And I think if you've got a good CRM and you're using it the way that you should be using a CRM, then it should pay for itself every month anyway. And so then that becomes a moot point. So obviously, I'm a big fan of Nimble. That is the CRM that I use. I will put a link in the chat if you want to sign up and take Nimble for a free 30-day test drive. Use that link. Cloze, C-L-O-Z-E. Is it Z or Z? What's the Canadian and what's the American way? I'm not even sure. Hang on. Cloze CRM is right there. Cloze. There's Cloze. That's another one that I know some voice actors play around with. Another one is Streak. Hang on. I'm just grabbing a link for Streak. I'm just going to put this into the chat for you as well. Z is Canadian. Okay, so Cloze, C-L-O-Z-E. I don't even know which way is what. Streak is another one. Okay, so I just put a few of them in the chat there. The point is there's a bunch of them that are kind of around that $20 or $30 range. Now, are any of them specifically tailored to VO? Absolutely not. They're tailored to small business. What I found with Nimble was I was able to adapt the features of the CRM to work for my voiceover business. And that's actually why I created a course that teaches voice actors exactly how I'm using Nimble so that you can see how I've adapted the different features for my voiceover business. And so I think with any CRM, that's going to be part of it. There's going to be a learning curve, and you're going to have to learn how to adapt what the CRM does to your use case and your needs for VO. Now we've started a whole international incident over Z versus Z. All right, let's see. Kim says, I'm taking over my husband's Nimble account. He has a couple thousand entries of production companies and agencies. When he switched to solely audiobooks, he stopped using Nimble. Well, there you go. That's the way I want my database, pre-built by somebody else. That would be fantastic. Going to buy Marc's Nimble course, but also wondering how much more difficult it's going to be to set up new tags, new templates, and an already established CRM. Yeah, you know what? If I can't answer that question specifically because it's going to depend a lot on how you need to retag or if you even need to retag. But the point is you're going to have to do it no matter what. Whether you do it in Nimble, whether you move it to another CRM, whatever, you're going to have to do it no matter what. I got a guy in my mastermind right now that's actually going through it. Thousands and thousands of contacts in his database. And he's literally just spending like a month just going through and rebuilding his CRM because it wasn't set up properly in the beginning and a lot has changed. And so he's just going through the pain, which it is pain. Trust me, been there, done that. But he's going through the pain so that he can have a fully functioning, properly functioning CRM. And so I will tell you right now, Kim, if you've got to make a lot of changes, it's not going to be fun, but it'll be worth it in the end. Oh, Briscoe, thank you. He says, click the like button. You are trying so hard to get back in my good graces after talking smack about Dr. Pepper. If you are enjoying the live stream so far, I would certainly appreciate it if you would go ahead and hit that like button. There should definitely be more likes in relation to the number of people who are watching the live stream right now. So I would really appreciate that. Thank you very much. It helps me to get found by dozens more people in the YouTube algorithm, which I have yet to crack and break the code on, but certainly not for a lack of trying. Mike says that all these links are helpful. There'll be an upgrade for my current spreadsheet-based tracking. You know what, Mike? That's where most of us start. That's where I started. I started with a spreadsheet and trying to track everything through a spreadsheet because I didn't even know what CRM was at the time. That's why the other thing I say to voice actors is the sooner you start with CRM, the better. When I started with CRM, I had over 3,000 people in my database, and that sucked. I literally had to import over 3,000 people one by one by one by one and set them up as I was going through, and it just sucked. I would have so much rather started when I had 12 people in my database, but like I said, I didn't know about CRM at the time, and so it didn't work out that way. Sooner the better. Sooner the better, for sure. All right. What else? I've been reading about some issues with email deliverability depending on who your email provider is. What is your go-to email provider? I actually do use Google Workspace. I was a Gmail user forever. For a while, I got grandfathered in and was able to use I was able to continue to use Google Workspace for free. But then I think last year, finally, they did away with all of that. Which is fine. So I do pay for Google Workspace. I don't even know what it costs me. I'm not even sure at this point, $10 a month or something like that. But it's worth it. The email works really well. I love the fact that I can set it up in Apple Mail if I want to use Apple Mail, but I can also set it up with Nimble if I want to use Nimble, but I can also just log into gmail.com from anywhere. And so I have Marc at marcscottvoiceover.com is a Google Workspace domain, and Gmail is the email server. So I've definitely not had any issues well, not that I know of anyway. I haven't had any issues as a Google Workspace user. I know another very popular option is Microsoft Live or Live 365 or Office 365 or whatever they're branding it as this week. Diehard Apple guy here, so I don't know all the Microsoft lingo. But a lot of people use that as well. And I also know that has some good integration with different CRMs like Nimble. What is your favorite Nimble hack? Man, I use a lot of different stuff and a lot of different features in Nimble for a lot of different things. I think my favorite part about Nimble is that once you have your database set up properly, you can do a lot of really advanced segmentation. So with a couple of clicks, I could pull up every e-learning client that I've worked with that I haven't had communication with in more than 30 days, for example. And I could find just that select group of people and send them a very targeted group message very easily. And so when you get your database set up properly, when you get all of the tagging done and all of that sort of stuff, which, again, nightmare, we talked about that. But when you get it done, it really allows you to be much more strategic in your marketing. And I think one of the areas where a lot of voice actors fall short is you have all of your clients and you import everybody into MailChimp or something like that. And then when you want to send an email to your clients, you just send an email to your clients. But the thing is, not every client needs to get every email. And so if you are using a system right now that does not allow you to do segmentation, and that could look like a lot of different things. Another great example, we've got Canadians watching, we've got Americans watching. I'm sure there's people from other countries as well. Welcome, thank you. But Canada celebrates Thanksgiving in October. The United States celebrates Thanksgiving in November. So if, as a Canadian, I want to send out a happy Thanksgiving message and I just went into send that MailChimp and sent that message to all of my clients, it's not relevant to half of them. But in Nimble, it gives me the ability to segment down. And by the way, you can do this stuff in MailChimp. It's just that you can't do it with free MailChimp. And that's what most voice actors are using is free MailChimp. But within Nimble, I can specifically target my Canadian clients, or specifically target my US clients, or specifically target my European clients, or whatever. And so it just allows me to be a lot more strategic with the marketing and what I'm doing. And so, I mean, there's countless features in Nimble that I love, but that's one of my favorite parts of it. So guys, again, quickly, I just want to remind you about Content Compass. I am super excited to teach this class because I know from coaching literally thousands of voice actors, the number one reason why voice actors are not using social media is because they say they don't have ideas, or they don't know what to post, or they don't have time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why I've decided to create this class, because I really believe that I've got a system here that's going to help you to get past that. And so one of the questions that I get asked often is, how do you manage to do everything that you do in a day? And how does it feel like you're everywhere all the time? That's part of what I'm going to teach in this class from a social media standpoint. So it is coming up. There's two different versions, or not two different versions, rather two different opportunities. June the 4th at 1 p.m. Eastern and June the 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Sign up for either one of them, and you will get access to a recording of the class. So if you are not able to attend live for any reason, make sure that you still sign up so that you can get access to that recording. A 1-hour workshop, $47, low ticket, high value. And I'm going to walk you through how to build a better social media strategy. I mean, this is the checkout page here. You can see. So the main objectives, I'm going to teach you how to build an idea factory, since I know that ideas are one of the biggest challenges for people. We're going to talk about how you can plan ahead and how you can do some of this in bulk, which is really nice to be able to get it off your plate. And then we're also going to talk about how to build targeted social media campaigns. And I'm going to give you one particular strategy for that you can adapt for your own use case and your needs. If you go to VOpreneur.com, click on the store button. There it is right there. Content Compass June 4th, Content Compass June 6th. So get signed up for that, and looking forward to being able to share that with you and help you to get better with your social media strategies. So there it is, Content Compass, your guide to creating consistent content for social media. What time is it? 1:57. I can take a couple more questions here real quick. Vanessa says, what should you do if a client still hasn't paid you a month after receiving your invoice? Pretty common. I know that we don't like it. I know that we want to get paid faster, but honestly, it's pretty common, especially right now. I do have automated reminders that are set up. So I use Wave for my invoicing. So I do have automated reminders that are set up that will prompt them to send in to that invoice. I usually really don't start sweating until 60 days. Maybe that's a bad attitude, but it's not worth the stress for me, honestly. But after 30 days, a quick friendly follow-up is all it takes. Sometimes, more often than not, a quick friendly follow-up. Hey, just want to make sure this invoice didn't fall through the cracks or something like that. I never try to get accusatory or angry or ignorant. I always just try to make it look, pass it off, right? Hey, maybe this fell through the cracks, or, I apologize if I forgot to send this to you earlier, even though I know I sent it, but I just use that as an excuse so that I'm not coming after them. I find that diffuses situations. More often than not, I would say that the client is not trying to screw you. Somebody forgot, it slipped through the cracks, whatever. So I always give everybody the benefit of the doubt until they give me a reason to not. The other thing I would say too, though, is just because we set 30-day terms doesn't mean the client has 30-day terms. This can be particularly true when you're working with larger companies. So I can send my invoice with net 30 on it all I want, but if their company policy is net 45 or net 60, it doesn't matter what's on my invoice. Again, not saying it's right or wrong, just saying it's the reality of what is out there in the world sometimes, depending on the clients that you're working with and the size of the companies that you're working with. But yeah, 30 days, I wouldn't start to get too worried yet. Just a quick friendly follow-up might be enough to get it done. Through a VO email campaign, what do you consider a successful take rate and response and close rate for bookings? So I say when I'm reaching out to cold leads, so these are people that I've never reached out to before, and I'm trying to get them to consider me for voiceover work, I'm looking for a minimum 10% response rate. I think 15% is better. And I think that if you are targeting the exact right people with the exact right message, and you've got really great demos on a really great website, I think it's possible to get that to 20 and maybe even 25% in certain instances. So that's what I would be looking at. Generally speaking, I would say ultimately maybe 3 to 5% are going to hire you. But I say ultimately because I could show you examples of email campaigns where I've reached out and somebody's hired me within a month. But I can also tell you that my personal record is 9 years. 9 years from the initial email till the first booking. I could show you examples in my introductory email workshop. I actually do show an example of 3 years. 3 years from the first email and all the subsequent follow-ups until the first booking. So that's why I say 3 to 5 will ultimately hire you. Par 513, how's your try booth working for you? I am embarrassed to say this, but my try booth is actually still in the bag. It has never come out of the bag since I brought it home from Mavo. And the biggest reason for that is because we ended up pregnant and we weren't traveling. And now we have a newborn. And so again, we are not traveling. So I actually haven't been anywhere where I've had an opportunity to even take it out and use it yet, which is killing me because I really want to, but just haven't had the opportunity to do it yet. Samantha says, should Stripe be linked to Wave as a payment option or independent accounts? Canadian try to navigate US payments. So Samantha, let me tell you what I do. I actually have a separate page set up on my website. Let me bring this up here real quick. So if you go to marcscottvoiceover.com/payments, this is Stripe. Clients can pay securely through this page in US dollars, and it sends it to my Stripe, and then I can convert it to Canadian from there. So that is the solution that I use for Stripe. I actually have several of those payment pages set up. I have one set up in US dollars, I have one set up in euros, and I have one set up in pounds. And so that allows my client, it allows me to invoice my clients in their currency. It allows me to bill them in their currency. It allows them to pay in their currency. And then I can do the conversion on my end when the time comes. And so that's how I have integrated Stripe. It is tough when you're working, if you're in one country, working with clients in one country, working in one currency, it's so much easier. But when you are in one country and the vast majority of your clients are working in 4 other different currencies, that's when it can start to get a little bit complicated. I know Wise is another option that a lot of people use. Ultimately, what I did was I set up a US-based US dollar bank account. My clients make their credit card payments. The money gets sent to the US dollar, US-based bank account. And then when the exchange rate is good for me, then I flip it over to my Canadian account and put it into my accounting and blah, blah, blah. But that's how I handle that, Samantha. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, Yvonne, I got to jump out because I see Iris was here. I saw her leave a comment at some point. And Iris and I have a session very soon. How many clients should I have before building a CRM? Hey, if you got leads, if you got 20 leads, it's worth starting with the CRM, I think. When you're doing email marketing, particularly if you're going to do it consistently on the long run, if you're contacting 50 people a week, it does not take long to build a very large database. And the larger that database gets, the harder it's going to be to bring it into a CRM. And so that's why I think that, the sooner the better, ideally. But just know up front, if you're going to wait to start, there's going to be a bit of a workload for you on the other side. Not impossible, obviously, can be done. It's just going to be a little bit of a workload if you decide to start a little bit later. All right, everyone, I got to jump out. Thank you so much for hanging out as always. It's always a pleasure to be able to spend time with you to answer your voiceover business and marketing questions. Let me take a quick look at my calendar here. Next Friday is what? May the 24th. And I think I'm going to be able to do Free Advice Friday next week. So if all goes well, hopefully I will get to see you here again next Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern, to answer more of your voiceover business and marketing questions. Thanks you so much for watching. Whatever you decide to do this weekend, have fun, stay safe, and as always, go find some leads.